Rain had just stopped, leaving the marble floors of the lobby slick and shining like glass. The city outside was still trembling with the aftershock of thunder. In the cavernous atrium of the Sterling Global Tower, a lone janitor pushed his mop across the tiles with steady strokes. His name was Michael Carter, 45, tired eyes, a back that ached every morning but still bent willingly for the job. He was the kind of man nobody noticed, except when the floor wasn't clean. Michael liked it that way. He'd learned long ago that quiet work drew less trouble. But he also carried a secret most people didn't know: his younger sister had been born deaf. He'd spent his teenage years learning sign language so she wouldn't feel alone at the dinner table. Those years of signing, awkward at first, then graceful, had become second nature. Even now, decades later, his hands sometimes moved while he thought, unconsciously sketching shapes of words in the air. Up on the 30th floor, behind tinted glass, Victor Sterling stood on his private balcony, coffee in hand. Victor, at 40, was already one of the youngest billionaire CEOs in the country. He was used to being in control, mergers, stock prices, entire industries bending to his strategy. But control hadn't brought him peace. His marriage was dissolving quietly, his board was circling like sharks, and he'd started questioning whether anyone around him had ever cared about him as a person rather than a balance sheet. From this balcony he often watched the lobby below, unseen. People behaved differently when they thought no one important was looking. That afternoon, as Michael pushed his mop, the front doors opened and a woman stepped inside. She looked like she didn't belong. Her clothes were neat but simple, her hair damp from the rain, her eyes scanning the directory with confusion. She couldn't have been more than 25. She clutched a worn folder of papers against her chest. Michael noticed her lips moving silently, her brow furrowing. He recognized that look immediately. She was trying to ask someone something but couldn't make herself understood. The receptionist smiled tightly, tapping at her keyboard, then shrugged. The woman gestured again, pointing to the elevator, to the directory, then back to the receptionist. The exchange grew more awkward. People in suits walked by, eyes averted. Nobody stopped to help. Michael's mop slowed. He set it against the wall and walked toward her. "Do you need help?" he asked gently. Her eyes flicked to his face. She shook her head, then pointed to her ear and shook her head again. "Deaf." Michael's heart gave a familiar tug. He raised his hands and began to sign. "Can I help you?" Her expression transformed: relief, surprise, a hint of joy. She signed back quickly, explaining that she had an appointment with someone on the 28th floor, but the security desk couldn't understand her. She was a designer, she said, bringing a proposal to pitch. She'd come all this way only to hit a wall of miscommunication. Michael signed slowly, making sure she caught every word. "I'll take you to the right elevator. Don't worry." He guided her gently to the private elevator and used his badge to call it. The woman's name, he learned as they waited, was Emmeline Gwynn. She had spent the last 6 months designing a low-cost eco-friendly packaging material she hoped to sell to Sterling Global. Up on the balcony, Victor Sterling had been about to turn back inside. But something about the scene held him. He saw the janitor put down his mop, approach the young woman, and begin moving his hands with practiced ease. He recognized sign language immediately. His late grandmother had been deaf. The sight of someone caring enough to bridge that gap, especially someone whose job was to clean floors, not make deals, stopped him cold. The elevator doors slid open with a chime. Michael gestured for Emily to enter. But she hesitated, then signed, "Thank you. Nobody helps like this." Michael smiled, signed back, "Good luck with your meeting." She pressed her hands together in a small bow and stepped inside. Victor set his coffee down and watched the elevator rise, numbers ticking upward. Then his eyes went back to the janitor below. Something stirred in him, envy, admiration, and a gnawing question about when he himself had last done something for someone without expecting a return. Emily's meeting upstairs did not go as planned. The junior manager assigned to see her flipped through her proposal with a bored expression, dismissing her ideas before she could fully explain. She tried to sign an impassioned rebuttal, but the manager interrupted, saying they'd consider it and call her later. She left the conference room blinking back tears. As she stepped off the elevator back in the lobby, Michael was waiting. He'd returned to his mop but had kept an eye on the doors. He saw her red eyes immediately. Without thinking, he signed, "Bad meeting?" She nodded. Her hands trembled as she signed back, "They didn't care. They didn't listen. All my work." She stopped, clenching her fists. Michael's jaw tightened. He signed, "Sometimes people don't see the value right away. But your idea is good. Don't give up." He wished he could do more, but what could a janitor do? From above, Victor Sterling was still watching. Later that evening, after the building had emptied, Victor called his assistant. "Find out who the janitor in the main lobby is," he said. "And the young woman he helped today. I want her proposal on my desk by tomorrow." By the next morning, Emily received an unexpected phone call. A meeting had been scheduled with Victor Sterling himself. When she arrived, Victor greeted her personally. "I saw what happened yesterday," he said. "I'd like to hear about your work, directly from you." He had also arranged for an interpreter, but as Emily began to sign, he found he could follow some of it, remembering the basics from his grandmother. Her proposal, he realized, was brilliant, not just good PR, but genuinely innovative. By the end of the meeting, he offered her a pilot contract. "Why?" Emily signed, stunned. "Because your work deserves a chance," Victor said simply. "And because someone showed me what decency looks like." Down in the lobby, Michael Carter still had no idea any of this was happening. He was back to his mop, cleaning up after a lunchtime spill, thinking only that Emily's eyes had looked a little less sad this morning. That evening, Victor came down himself. The janitor straightened, startled to see the CEO in person. Victor extended his hand. "You don't know me," he said, "but I know what you did yesterday. And I want to thank you." Michael blinked, unsure. "I was just helping." "That's exactly why it matters," Victor said. "Come upstairs. I want to talk."